Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Canary Room, Season 5, Episode 20. Been a bit hit and miss over the last few weeks, as regular viewers to the channel will know. Had some grand plans to visit Canada, to really get on the show circuit across the UK, and a couple of things have prevented that. So firstly, a number of shows have been impacted by bird flu, which, as we know, is sort of spreading across the globe at the moment at a rapid pace. And because it seems because of the sort of the warmer weather, it's hitting Isles earlier. So the Canadian show, unfortunately, was cancelled. So I didn't make the trip there, but I am pleased to say, all things being well, I will be back there next year. So very much looking forward to that. My own local show was also postponed, and I've not been very well. I've been a little bit poorly, and that has really curtailed my show season. So I managed to get out at Stafford earlier on in the year. And I managed to get out to Anglesey in early November. We'll have a look at that today. That's the main feature of today's episodes. But that was my show season. So 2 shows really. You might be able to see behind me that the majority of the birds are in their new cages, or the flight cages now. So coming up to sort of end of November. I would normally be showing, but I'm, as I say, curtailed that now. So I moved all the birds into the flight cages. So I'm starting the gradual process of conditioning for next year's breeding season, and spent the majority of the weekend just clearing down the shed, taking all of the cages here where the show team were and emptying them. I haven't deep clean them as yet. What I'll do through the winter months is I'll take the cage fronts off. I will give them a little rub down, give them another spray, and get them ready all for next breeding season. So you know what to do. Grab yourself a cuppa, sit back and enjoy the show. You might be able to make out behind me that the cages here where our show team was housed, well, they're empty. As I said in the introduction, over the weekend, I've moved all of the birds into the 4 big flight blocks. So those flight blocks at the back of the room, which is where the native birds normally are housed, they are all opened up. So they're just over 8 foot in length. They are 2.5 foot high and a foot front to back. Probably should have made them a bit deeper, but didn't. So they've got the Fife hens in, they've got some red poles in, a little bit more of that in a second, and they've got the Fife cockbirds in, and they've got the Norwich hens in at the moment. So they've got plenty of space to overwinter. So these cages here, where the show team were, they've been emptied out. As I say, I haven't washed them down yet. I haven't washed the utensils down yet. But that'll be a job that I'll do. I'll probably do 6 cages at a time throughout the winter months. And times really like this, when you start to think ahead now. The show season is still very active. Thanks to everybody who enjoyed the last episode. Another masterclass with the absolute gentleman Keith Ferry on hand washing canaries. And if you haven't watched it, check it out. It really is. Hand washing something, I remember when I first started the fancy 20 odd years ago now, and I went to see a friend of mine, the late Pat Fenlon, and I remember seeing his border canaries rolled up on the side of the kitchen in little hand towels and being quite bemused by the idea. It's something I've never been brave enough to do, but having seen Keith do it, and this is in no way to diminish his expertise, he made it look so straightforward and so simple. So certainly be something I consider in future years. So in the shed, it's very much a sort of, the calm now, and giving myself a couple of months to to reflect, to look at the season ahead. I've made a number of decisions for next year. The first one is there will be a season 6. I think I may have mentioned that on a couple of the Zoom room chats. There will be a season 6 of the show, so you can decide whether that's a good or a bad thing. One of the things that I have decided to do is to reduce the number of birds. Now, when you see all the birds in the flights, it might not look like they've been reduced in a great deal of ways, but I will take the number of Fife hens down by about a dozen, and the number of Fife cock birds down by about a third. So I am sort of starting to just reduce the numbers, and there's a couple of reasons behind that. As I mentioned in the intro, my health hasn't been fantastic. I am hopefully okay. But I had a funny turn in October, and the birds and the show, they take up an awful lot of time and commitment. So rather than having an absolute shed full, I am going to reduce them. It means that a number of our native species have moved on. We will still have a pair of goldfinches outside in the flight, and we will have a pair of bullfinches in one of the flights in the other room, and we will focus pretty much next year on 4 or 5 pairs of red poles in here. So we're reducing the number of species of birds down for next year. We've got some feeder birds in, so we've got a couple of pairs from Keith, some of his very nice feeders, and we've got some grey wings as well, but we've reduced the number of Norwich pairs down as well. So I think we had 7 pairs last year. We've got 5 cockbirds this year, and we've got a couple of extra hens, so we'll see. And the idea is to just not get perhaps as busy and as overwhelmed with the birds. But look, loads more of that to come in future episodes. And before the end of the year, we've got a couple of very special episodes coming to you. So we are this weekend coming. So as you watch this, I will have been to the YCC and filmed the YCC show. So that'd be good. A chance to catch up with Russ, a chance to catch up with Bob and Steve and Brian and lots of the Yorkie lads. So very much looking forward to that. And then we're off to Florida, and I will take the camera, or I'll take a camera with me to Florida. Very much looking forward to judging in Florida. So we'll do a special show for that as well. And then before Christmas, we'll do a final show in the Canary room, and I'll tell you all of the plans for next year. So keep tuned, everyone. Stay tuned, because there's plenty more to come. As I mentioned at the outset, in the flight cages behind here, we've got Fife hens at the top. So reduce the number of Fife hens. There's a couple of older birds in here who, may or may not overwinter, but they've been really good to me, and I'm going to look after them over the winter period. Birds have got a little bit of broccoli. Filming the show on a Monday. Sunday I put some broccoli in. I put a little bit of Savoy cabbage just to keep them occupied. Plenty of room. The hens have got a bath on. You can see they've muckied that up already. So the hens have got a bath on. I will put baths on all the cages daily, and then I'll just keep it clear on. Some red poles. Return of the Red Pole Diaries next year, everyone. Bit more heartache to follow. So got some really nice red poles. I got a couple of hens that I bred last year. They've come back into the Canary room. So there's a silver, there's a cinnamon, both split for pied. I'm looking to run probably with 4 or 5 pairs of red poles for next year. So they will be in these sort of top 4 or 5 cages. A couple of other little things as a surprise to come as well. So, stay tuned for that. And what I've done this year is I've put all of the 5 cockbirds together. Now, I will separate them out at the beginning of February, but for now, just from a maintenance point of view, plenty of space in here, plenty of perching, plenty of feeding. There will be naturally some bickering as they get a pecking order, but I'm not too concerned about that, to be honest. Obviously, if I see anything getting hurt, then I will separate and split things up. But so far so good. And then the Norwich hens, they're in a flight cage at the bottom. So some really nice birds there. And then as I turn to here, this bank of cages has still got some birds in. So I've singled off all of the Norwich cock birds in the cages there. There's a couple of some really nice acquisitions from Keith this year, but again, we'll have a look at those in a later episode. Sneak peek of one now. And then the feeding birds. So I've got some grey wings, some really nice grey wings, and I'm starting to get, having seen Simon Meredith earlier in the year, I'm starting to get a really good eye now for what they need to look at. So not only are they feeding birds, but I'm trying to breed them. I've got a couple of show cages next year, so hopefully we'll get them on the bench as well. So that's it really in terms of the birds in the room. Very much this time of year, many of you will still be showing. I'm just concentrating on getting the birds through the winter, making it as easy for them and me over the coming months. And that's what really, the hobby is about. But I did get out on the show bench. So without further ado, let's go on the road to Anglesey, the North Wales show. Back for the first time since 2019. So a couple of years lost through COVID and then an inability to get a show hall. Back at the Anglesey Show Ground. A fabulous, fabulous weekend spent with in the company of Matt Dando and his lovely family. So went for lunch with Matt. And for me, that's what this hobby is about. It's about friendships. And it's about having fun. So before we make the trip to Anglesey, I did this little video of putting my show cages together. Now I've speeded it up a little bit, and I just thought I'd show you sort of what I do. I wash all the perches, I sterilise the drinkers before I go on the show bench. And then I am using a beeswax polish here just to polish up the front of the cages a little bit. And what I'm doing with that, I'm doing that for two reasons. One, to make sure the cages, Keith talks a lot about the picture frame, to make sure the cages themselves look good. And two, and the other reason I'm doing it is the hobby at the moment is using stickers a lot, and they're a bugger for taking paint off cages. So actually, if you put this on first, it becomes an awful lot easier to take the stickers off after. So it's a little speeded up version of putting the show cages together. I use tier wool on the bottom. For those of you exhibiting Fifes, you need 5 clear spaces, clear spars between your perches. So one perch goes on the drinker hole, and then you count 5, and on the 6th spar, your second perch goes. And that's very, very simply how I put them together. And then I'm using these dinky bags. I got these from James Weir. I use these dinky bags. I store my show cages in their wooden boxes. But as I've got a little bit older, the wooden boxes are flipping heavy, and humping them to a show ground can be quite difficult. So I'm using dinky bags to carry the birds now. Great just for transporting them through, and easy to pack away and the likes. So without further ado, let's go on the road and see how we got on at the North Wales Fife show at the Anglesey Show Ground. Morning all. Canary room with a difference today. We're in the beautiful Isle of Anglesey, a beautiful part of the world. You can probably see the blue skies behind me. We made a bit of a weekend of it, so my face is looking quite red because I've just been in the sauna and I've swam, and it's not even 10 o'clock. What's going on, I hear you ask? Well, we're going to the North Wales Fife show today. It's also the Fife Canary Council supported show. So it'd be an interesting one, this. A new showground. It's at Anglesey, the Anglesey Show Ground. Fabulous venue. Dropped the birds off last night. Looking forward to catching up with some good friends. It's only the second show we've done of the year, and it's likely to be the last show. So we'll see. Not expecting anything really. I've got 12 birds in. majority of which haven't been out before. Catch up later. It was great to get back on the road to North Wales. It is, you know, it's one of, I think, probably one of my favourite shows. The venue itself of the Anglesey Show Ground was incredible, absolutely incredible. Good number of birds benched. I think, you know, North Wales, particularly as a show, has suffered because of Brexit. Normally, you know, could expect 200 to 300 Irish fancier birds there, but none this year, I don't think, which is a real shame. But it was a great show. Great to catch up with some of the old friends, and plenty of Mickey taking going on. Move in. This is the most handsome men in Scotland, ladies. This is what you've got to look forward to north of the border. Look at them, fine figures of men. Right, we're in North Wales with two of the Woods and Rogers partnership. What we might need here is subtitles, because if you can't understand me, there's no way you'll understand Big Andy and Little Ryan.
How about you, sir?
I'm very well, thanks, Andy.
You're doing all right?
I'm doing all right.
How many tickets did you get today?
I've got quite a few, actually. I've surprised myself with the performance of my birds, Andy. It's been exceptionally average, but they're in the tickets, which is important.
So we can only see what a good breeding season does for you next year.
That's right. Yeah, let's hope we have a good one next year. It's Andy and Ryan, two of the nicest lads in the hobby, and I genuinely mean that. They are lovely. Don't be fooled by the look of them. 4 specials today, boys. Yeah.
Yep.
Variegated.
Yep.
Heavily variegated.
Yep.
Self. Cinny.
And Allied.
Well, that was 5. What didn't you win? You didn't win the Self. Didn't win the Self.
Second best in the Self.
Second best in the Self. So a good show, good trip, new venue, Wales. Andy, it's a show you've won yourself.
Yeah, a couple of times,
yeah, a few times before you got this little lad.
Not that. Someone
Yeah, someone to pull you back. Knock him into touch, Andy. You'll be sound. Yeah. But it's a cracking haul, isn't it?
Yeah, you could have a national in here.
Yeah, absolutely you could. Absolutely you could. It is a cracking haul, and unlike many of us who remember the old North Wales at the college, the Retro College, when you were when you were walking into people, we were
stand outside in the rain before you get in.
Yeah. This time round, nothing could be further than the truth. Well done, boys. Always a pleasure to see you. You take it easy. Cheers.
Thanks, mate.
Now then, best in show, best champion, best clear, and that's just the bird. The man, Henry Cooper. He's not a stranger to these parts. How are you, Henry? Well done, mate.
I'm fine.
Very good. Very good. This is a little lovely clear yellow hen. It's done. Is this the one that's been doing well for you, or is this another one?
No, this is the same one. I wish I'd got 6 of them.
Yeah.
But one will have to do.
Yeah.
Best clear at the National, best in show at the International, and now his 3rd show. Best in show once again.
Wales, it's a lovely bird. It really is. It's a credit to you, Henry. Lovely fellow, lovely small little thing. And even now, and anyone who knows anything about birds will tell you, 2 hours after the show's opened, it's been up there for ages. And even now, it looks like a nice bird. Normally at this point, they're running ragged and you can't see.
Yeah, it may be getting a bit thick. I think the weather's not doing it the best.
Yeah, it looks like there's an egg in the bottom.
Not till next week. Anybody want to buy any eggs?
Yeah. Well, good to see you, mate. Well done.
Right.
Congratulations. Well done, mate. Who we bumped into again? We bumped into him. Lads, come on in. Come on in. This is a Dando affair. Look, a Dando affair. So, do you want to introduce the lads?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. This is my eldest boy, Jackson, and this is my middle boy, well, youngest boy, middle one, Henry. And my wife Gemma and little Florence are over there somewhere. They just fleeced me out of my winnings.
Yeah, Gemma and Florence are with Claire and Charlotte. It's not going to end well for either of us here. You've had a cracking day, mate, haven't you?
Yeah, really pleased.
Yeah.
Really pleased.
Couple of colour specials.
Yep. Yeah, cinnamon and a clear.
And the clear's taken best novice.
Yeah.
Which is...
Yeah, I made up with. I mean, you've seen that bird a couple of weeks ago, and it's a lovely bird, but it's taken longer than most of the others to finish. So it's just about there now. So yeah, really pleased that it's taken it today.
Good stuff. And these lads are having a little giggle, but they're a little bit richer now, aren't they?
That's it. Yeah.
Because Dad's given you his prize money, hasn't he? Yeah. And Mummy's got some as well, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's done well apart from you, mate. Listen, well done, and it's lovely to see the family. They're a lovely bunch, a real lovely bunch. Chip off the old block. All right, mate. Well done.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Matt.
Honest to God, here we've got. Look, they're like the ant and deck of the Fife Canary world. I can never tell which one's which. That's not true, actually. That one's Kane and that one's Luke, but they call themselves different names when you speak to them, and they are brilliant. Luke is gonna introduce himself in Welsh, aren't you? See, told you. I'm going to subtitle that so you know what it means. These boys are a driving force. It's just out of shot is Jimmy Roberts, which is a good job because he's got the face for radio. But Jimmy's just out of shot. But these chaps here are the driving force behind the North Wales show. First time, lads, in 3 years.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, real challenges from show halls and COVID, obviously, and because it's in Wales, different rules and regulations. But we're in Anglesey, which is wonderful, and we're in a fantastic show hall. It's like an air hangar. It's been a good show, chaps. It's been a really good show. Credit to you both. Good number, considering you've just got back up again.
Yeah. Can't complain at all.
So next year, we'll get more and more and more.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we will. Look at them, they look dead nervous. They're nothing like this. To see these lads out on the ale, honest to God, shocking the pair of them. Thanks, lads. My own birds, I put 12 in. I'd entered 16, but I only benched 12. 4 of them were just not really where I wanted them to be. So my own birds, they did okay. I think I had 9 of the 12 in the cards. I think what I was particularly pleased with, I think variegated buff hen buff cock rather, was 3rd in its class. I think what I was really pleased with was the dark yellow feathered birds. So 2 of my dark yellow feathered cock birds were in the first 7. 2 of my dark yellow feathered hen birds were in the first 7. So I entered 2 in each class, and they were both in the cards, which was great. The buff cocks were in there as well, which was wonderful to see, as was the buff hen, dark buff hen. And then 2 of my clears, both my clear yellow hen and my clear buff hen, both ticketed in some very competitive classes. So 9 of the birds carded, and for 9 of the birds it was their first show. Now it sounds a bit strange because the show was in mid-November, but it's just the way that the season's gone for me this year. So really good show. Isle of Anglesey is a beautiful location. Claire and I and Charlotte made a weekend of it, which was lovely to spend a little bit of time with them. I didn't particularly fancy doing the drive on my own. I've been sort of considering recent events, so Claire accompanied me with the baby, and we made a weekend of it, and that was lovely, to be honest. That was a highlight for me, so I really enjoyed it. So that was a close of my my show season, and it wasn't a bad one too. Well, that's all we've got time for today. As always, thanks very much for watching the show. Don't forget, coming up, we will be at the YCC. We'll also be in Florida. We're going international. Delighted. I've got some judging engagements next year. I'll be off to Canada. I'll be off to Germany. I'll be off to Belgium. So really excited about that as well. We have got some more on the roads planned. We've got a couple of comeback visits planned too, so I'm sure we'll go and see Mr. Ferry again in his wonderful Norwich. We will go and see Dave Rands, the Gloucester man. We'll have a look at Matt Dando in the breeding season. There'll be plenty more to come as well. We are going to make a return visit to Terry Kelly. Donald Skinner-Reid, we're coming to see you again, Donald. We had planned to go in at the beginning of December, but unfortunately the Scottish National's been cancelled because of the concerns around bird flu. So lots to follow, everyone. Lots to follow. And of course, we'll catch up with the shenanigans that goes on in the Canary room. I am changing things up a little bit next year. So I've got a few new things that I want to share with you. But stay tuned for that. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. It'd be great to get to 15,000 before the end of the year. Until next time, everyone. Take care.